Okay, so happy Tuesday to all of my people. Yes, it is your girl Vocal with AJ Reese coming to you on this Tuesday evening. Your girl is doing good. She's feeling good. That cough is lingering just a little bit, but it's almost out of here. So thank God for that. He said, "In all things, give thanks." So I wanted to come back and talk with you guys about our last two previous discussions on toxic relationships. And I know I left off with lack of trust. Lack of trust. So I'm just going to get right back into it or whatever we're talking about toxic relationships. So now I'm getting ready to go to the third flag, which is allowing people to drain your self esteem. Allowing people to drain your self esteem. What do I mean by draining self esteem? Low self esteem is when you are feeling low about yourself. You don't see yourself in a positive light. You don't see yourself as someone that has it going on, that has the goods to be able to do the things they want to do in life for themselves. It's a mindset of how you view you. Feeling low, feeling low self esteem, the people that are closest to you, that are closest to us, should be people that build us up and not break us down. You have people who come and their only job is to sit and drain you of everything that you have worked so hard for to build up within yourself internally. Internally. You know what's crazy though, right? Because you figure when you love someone, you are committed to supporting and uplifting them. At least that's what it should be. If you do not feel that support from family, friends, your peers, guess what? Something's got to change. As Sam Cooke say, a change is going to come. Baby, a change is going to come. The bottom line is, it's time to make some changes. If you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are not receiving the same support in return and you don't have the same circle of people that are there to build you up through everything in your life as your support system, it's time to make some changes. Time to cut some things, some people. It just is. And guess what? And it's okay. Sometimes we think it's a bad thing. For them, they may believe it's a bad thing, but our job is not to figure out why they feel the way they feel about our decision. It's just not. Bottom line is do what you have to do and move on. That's all. You're not getting the same thing. I'm going to tell you something. I've made a lot of different changes. I really have. Some people that I never thought that I would cut and disconnect myself from, but I found that I have. And it's the saddest part is because as I begin to do my self-reflect inventory and I just begin to go back through the archives of life and I'm like, wow, so on every hand, every situation and circumstance, I was there for you. But then when it was me, it was like, it's a lot of gaps, a lot of spaces in between. And it doesn't mean that the person has to physically be in your presence all the time, but without a shadow of a doubt, you pick that phone up and you need that person there, just like they can do with you. When you find that it's not balanced, it's not weighing out the way it should, listen, you know exactly who those people are. You know exactly the circle of people that you entertain. And you need to be able to ask yourself, what are they adding to my life? If you're the only one that's doing all the adding, Mr. or Mrs. Mathematician, it is time to make some cuts. It's time to do some reductions. Reduce, cut, get rid of some things. Do some subtractions. Whatever you feel like you need to do. And the bottom line is sometimes we struggle with the fact that we have to cut people off. We're always concerned about, well, what will they think? Or what would they, it doesn't matter. They've already made up their mind of what they think about you. That's why they're not in your corner the way they should be. And the bottom line is, I'm going to keep it real with you. Some things, I'm not saying all things, some things we're going to have to own. We have to own some of these things. We've allowed people to come and just take, and we now hold them accountable as us being able to do the same with them. It should be an even exchange. It should not be every time you look up, this person's hand is out or they're grabbing something out of your life from you. But when it's time for you to get it back from them, it's nowhere to be found. Or they can't make provisions to accommodate you. 2023. Don't continue to do things the same way. Don't. It doesn't make sense. When you don't make changes to better yourself, you know what happens? Retardation and stagnation. You start operating out of those things. Why? Because it's not producing anything good. Starting with you. So doesn't it make sense to say, you know what? I deserve better. I'm going to tell you something. We had a women's event this Friday that passed at Oaks Ballroom, my church. I know y'all keep seeing me do this to the glasses because it seems like every time I move, they start shifting. But anyway, the woman that we had to come and speak, her name is Destiny Inspire. I had never heard of her before. Never in my life. She is a motivational speaker. She is a life coach, and she is a believer. Some of you who may not know what that is, a believer, someone who has sold their life and dedicated it to the gospel of Jesus Christ. The woman is a woman of her name. Let me tell you something. She truly walks in her destiny. She truly inspires people. And I'm telling you, I sat there and I listened to her speak to all of us on Friday night. And I was so in awe when I came home. You know, my husband had waited up for me and I just kept talking about it. And I just kept talking about it. And I just kept talking about it. Because you know what? The bottom line is I admire the way the Lord uses her. I don't choose to be her, but I admire how she allows God to use her. And I'm telling you, you can actually see that she walks in that lifestyle, that she allows God to lead her. I'm not saying she's perfect and all that. We're not even talking about all that. We're just talking about the fact that Sister Girl's walking in her purpose, divinely so. So I'm saying that to say she began to talk about her life and the changes that she had to go through and the changes that she decided she needed to make, because guess what? It wasn't working out. And that's really what I'm saying to you guys. The bottom line is, if it's not working out for your favor and your good, now there are going to be some things that God will divinely set up where you have to go through those certain processes. But to keep setting yourself up unnecessarily for these things, it makes absolutely no sense. So we're going to go to number 4, red flag number 4. Physical, emotional, or mental abuse. Physical, emotional, and mental abuse, they are definite red flags. It's no getting around that. They are definite red flags. Physical abuse, as I stated earlier, previously some videos ago, physical abuse, that's easy to pick up on. You see bruises, you see different, things. But I'm going to tell you something, what's not. Emotional and verbal. Verbal, you can if you listen close enough or whatever. But physical, you can't. Emotional and mental, they are just as damaging. In fact, they're even more damaging than the physical. The bruises will eventually disappear. But those etched in verbal scars that get down into the core of your heart and your soul, it's not that easy. And I remember growing up, what was it? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. That's a lie. It's a lie. Why as parents, we sit up there and let our kids quote these stupid behind sayings and knowing daggone well it's far from the truth. We don't really spend enough time researching and trying to figure out what are we really doing here. Oh, because it was passed on from mama and them or nana or meemaw, whatever they want to call themselves, paw, pop, grandpa, whoever. It don't make sense. It's stupid. And then we end up speaking these things out of our mouths and then wonder why we around here acting foolish and simple. So, emotional and mental can be just as damaging in the long run. And just like physical abuse, mental and emotional can cause PTSD. And I am a firm believer of that. I am a firm witness of that. I lived it. I'm not walking around here claiming stuff. I'm not. But I just got to keep it real. You don't even realize The things that can cause PTSD. Sometimes we just figured it was people who was in the military. That's not true. You can go through things. I'm telling you, you talking about anxiety? If you grew up in my household where I grew up in, it was a war zone. It was a war zone. You didn't know what grenade you was going to step on. And when I say grenade, I'm talking about which parent or the parent and step parent you was going to set off. How they was going to go into a rage and just start beating the crap out of you or smacking you or whatever, gripping you up or just beating you half to death. You did not know. That stuff is real. It's real. Nobody, and when I say this, I mean this, nobody ever has the right to use you, myself, or anybody that we know and love as a scapegoat for their problems. That is not the will of God. It is not. It's not right. It is downright disrespectful. It is rude. It's ignorant. It's downright mean and foul. And the bottom line is when we don't know how much we're worth and how valuable we really are, people have tendencies to pick out people who are shy and timid and laid back and easygoing, and those are the ones they send the flock to so they can continue to unleash their dirty, foul behavior upon them. They don't like people that's going to speak up. And even if you were one who was timid and shy and wouldn't really say much, and then finally you get the courage and say enough is enough, now they hate you. They hate you because of the simple fact you're standing up for yourself. And you realize, and they realize that now you really do see them for who they really are. Now they're angry. Why? Because they can no longer control and do the things to you that they felt as though benefited them. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. And it doesn't make sense. And we have to be the ones to stand up for ourselves. We cannot continue to allow people to mistreat us and we think it's okay. No, I'm going to tell you something. And I mean this. And I talk a lot about my life story because it's my life story. I went through it. My immediate household would just say and do whatever they wanted to me. From my mother, her husband, my sister, and my brother. Yeah, they did. They did. As long as it worked out for their advantage, it was we get to use her, we get to mistreat her, we get to whatever. You know, I could do nice things for my siblings, and then we get into an argument or whatever, and I'm like, well, Dad, you know, that's how you do me after I just whatever for you. Oh, well, ain't nobody tell you had to do it anyway. That's your fault. Oh, well, so what? Do you know how hurtful hearing those things from them were? Or walking around as if I owed them and I was supposed to. That entitlement and believing that they were privileged to receive those things from me. But why? See, now we got to go back to the root of things, the origin. My mother and her husband raised their children that were theirs together, a certain way different from me and my older sister. So they were raised to believe they were better than us. So they grew up believing they could just talk to us any kind of way, say whatever they wanted, or just mistreat us, say mean things out of their mouth. And there were times I went to my mom and was like, wow, so you just going to let her say, you know, stuff like that to me out of her mouth? Well, what you want me to do? Everything was okay until Anika started fighting back. Vocal with AJ Reese started fighting back. Now, all of a sudden, I'm the enemy. No, I'm just a force to be reckoned with now. You get tired and you get tired and you get tired. And this is not, you know, if people feel like I put them on Front Street, it is what it is. But I'm telling my story and I'm using those things as an example to show you it doesn't matter if it's your family. It doesn't matter if it's close friends. Are people really your friend? Is that really your friend? And that's the thing. One of the things that was crazy, because one of the things my mom would always say, you know, that person's not your friend. That person's not this, that person. And she would be right. But I'm just trying to understand how you couldn't see your own ill behavior. And how you couldn't see some of the things that you were doing that was wrong to me. And that you were seeing your husband do to us that was wrong. You didn't see that though. See, we got to stop turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to the truth. We got to stop that because I'm going to tell you something. You may think you getting away with in this life. You're not, because you're going to stand before God one day. And let me tell you something. More than likely, before you leave this earth, you're going to go through some stuff. Because you done sowed some seeds and you done did some things that wasn't right. So you're going to have to pay for it. We don't know what that is going to look like. That's all I got for you right now. Like I told you, we was going to keep talking about this thing. Because sometimes we believe toxic relationships are only for a intimate relationship with a man, or if a woman, a man with a woman. No. First of all, let me just give you a little nugget. Start with your family first. Why? Because they're the first ones that you end up having relational interaction with growing up. So that's where you begin to see how you adopt your way of thinking, and then how you start attracting friends of a certain caliber. Because of the simple fact is, if you're growing up in an abusive household, or a household that they mistreat you and talk to you any old kind of way, when you're going to make friends, you're going to start finding those same type of friends. Why? Because you're emulating what you know from your home. And I'm not knocking you for it. But once you know better, do better. That's all AJ is saying. We got to want to do better. We can't want to get upset. And some things is going to make you upset. And oh, well, that's your problem. That ain't my problem, because the bottom line is, I'm just here to tell the truth about it. Anyway, that's my time. God bless you guys. Love you guys. We will meet again, reconvene again on Thursday, Lord willing. You know, I always tell you, Lord willing. You guys are amazing. Continue to share, like, and subscribe. Continue to pass it on. God bless you. I'm just believing God for big things in 2023. And I know that according to God's perfect divine will, I shall have those things that I've been talking to him about in prayer by myself. So, you guys be blessed. As my auntie may always say, stay safe. Love you guys, and we will see each other again on Thursday.